Hello guys, and welcome back all 1,400 members of this channel. Today we're going to be going over certain drivers that unlock their full potential under certain conditions. The Formula 1 grid is sometimes misunderstood, drivers misunderstood, cars misunderstood, and sometimes it requires something supernatural, sometimes superficial, to create a driver born out of the depths of the tarmac itself, a driver that cannot be stopped and cannot be beat. These are the mythical Formula 1 drivers of the grid. Starting off lightly, we go all the way to Finland, where we meet Valtteri Bottas. Now, after joining Mercedes in 2017, Valtteri failed to really make an impression on Lewis in 2017 and 2018, with the fight mainly focusing on Ferrari. Valtteri promised to change this, and in 2019 he came out swinging. In the Australian Grand Prix, he won by a country mile, dominating Lewis, making him look like a second-rate driver, after finishing the race being a pit stop ahead and cementing a lead over Hamilton in the first round of the season. And after winning the Australian Grand Prix, he was asked what he had for breakfast because whatever he had must have given him supernatural powers. His response? Porridge. And so Porridge Botas was born. Now, Porridge Botas didn't end up winning the 2019 Grand Prix and faded away into existence. But for that brief moment, for that brief race, Bottas showed his true potential. He cemented himself as one of the great F1 drivers under certain conditions. Porridge Botas. Now, bringing it back to something relatively recent, we go to the streets of Monaco, where we have Charles Leclerc, someone who, generally speaking, has had a rough time at Ferrari. Although he has been doing well, the performance of the car in 2020 and 2021 hasn't really been desired. And the team's work in 2022 and 2023 saw that he doesn't challenge for a championship. However, throughout this time, Charles Leclerc has been putting in outstanding performances, getting 23 poles, lining himself at the front of the grid 23 times, the most any driver has ever done, without winning a championship. Now, coincidentally, Charles Leclerc has 5 wins. And although 3 of them have come from pole, 2 out of 3 in the new ground effect era came as a result of Max Verstappen DNFing in Australia and Bahrain, respectively. Couple that with the fact that Leclerc has had horrible conversion rate, and we have now the next mythical driver, a driver you may not expect to become a mythical driver, but it is off-pole Leclerc. Leclerc has become more dangerous and more capable of winning races off pole than he has on pole. It's quite the conundrum, but it seems to be that fans and drivers alike have more hope for Leclerc passing Verstappen and working his way up the grid than maintaining that initial pace. Maybe it's due to race setups, maybe it's due to lack of keeping the tyres, but all we know is that off-pole Leclerc is a force to be reckoned with. An honourable mention, though, is the opposite, the inverse of when Charles Leclerc is at his weakest, his most vulnerable state, his absolute kryptonite, Monaco. Monaco is when Charles Leclerc is at his most vulnerable because he can never seem to get a good result. His best result in itself is a botched result that could have been a win had it not been thwarted by the plans of the Binotto. Now, this next driver was born through the tough love of another Formula 1 driver. He rose through the ranks. He managed to get himself in Formula 1 early. Now, becoming the young prodigy is a big task on your shoulders, and he handled it well, winning his first race in the senior team of his organization. Now, after winning this, many years of crashes, good pace but bad racecraft came and haunted him. But when he had the car to fight for a title, he didn't let it go. Not only did he not let it go, he took it with both hands, and at the end of the season, he clinched gold. And so clinching gold, he changed his title from 33 Verstappen to 1. Now, 1 Verstappen has had a lot cleaner of a time, winning championships, winning races, getting pole position, and hasn't been able to show the same level of desire and racecraft as he once did in this previous season. And so because of the ecstatic driving of 2021 Verstappen, we coin him 33 Max. 33 Max is something born out of the depths. It's a Max without a championship, a Max that wants everything. He was putting in crash or yield moves like there was no tomorrow, and he was risking it all to become champion. Truly enough, after nearly a decade of domination and nearly 15 years of domination by multiple different drivers, we needed a championship fight for the ages, and 33 Max was destined to give it to us. Pushing the car to its absolute limits, sometimes even over the limit if you look at Jeddah, he has redefined what it means to be an F1 driver, and surely will go down as one of the best seasons of his career. Maybe one day when he loses, he will return to 33 Max. But until then, the last gasp of 33 Max Verstappen will go down in mythical F1 driver history. The hardest fought first championship you will find in the past 25 years. Sticking with the Red Bull organization, we have a driver that hasn't faced as much luck as Verstappen. They didn't get favored, and when they did get into the senior team of Red Bull, it didn't turn out so well for them. However, on their decline, they found something. They found rejection, and this rejection turned into podiums and wins and fastest laps and becoming one of the most underrated drivers in Formula One. It is none other than Reject Gasly. Now Gasly, after being rejected by Red Bull, returned to Toro Rosso a broken and dejected man. Or was he? He managed to get a podium in the Toro Rosso that year and another podium and another win in Monza the following year. And so Reject Gasly was born, as he comparatively outperformed Alex Albon, the man who took his place in the Red Bull. Reject Gasly showed that he was not done and he had more to give. And as of now, Reject Gasly is no more, as he has taken his seat in Alpine as a well-respected driver. But for that brief moment, for those brief 1.5, 2 seasons, Reject Gasly had a fire in his belly that no one had ever seen before. He proved all of us wrong and made us question whether it was really just the Red Bull environment and not just the car that was the problem for all of these second drivers. As we know, that second Red Bull seat is probably the most cursed seat in Formula One. It has housed many names, and many names have fallen victim to the claim of Max Verstappen, and I guess Sebastian Vettel as well. It does make you wonder, is there more quality to be seen in these drivers in that car, or is it just the Red Bull environment that is toxic and geared towards the one and only Max Verstappen? Now, switching from Red Bull, we have a driver that is an established driver and is a champion. A driver that knows how to win and doesn't really know how to lose. And so you're asking, how could a driver like this possibly have a mythical state? Well, as you know, in the summer of 2020, George Floyd was murdered. Many marches and many riots later, the F1 season had started, and Mercedes had made their car black in honor of the Black Lives Matter movement. But more than that, we had something even more significant. We had Hamilton with a purple helmet. Yes, the purple with the Black Lives Matter on top. He went on to dominate the 2020 season, and in 2021 he pulled off some of his best feats as a driver in his whole career in races like Brazil, in which he was disqualified and managed to win in the evening on Sunday. And so it was born, the mythical driver, Purple Helmet Hamilton. This mythical status was also helped by the fact that when the W13 was announced and Hamilton decided to revert back to a yellow lighter helmet, the performances dipped, and he could never really capture the speed, the purple sectors that he had, whilst the dark helmet loomed in the W11. Maybe one day, all of us Mercedes fans wish that Hamilton would unveil a more purple helmet, a fully purple helmet for the season. And it would give us hope that we might see Purple Helmet Hamilton take himself from the depths of the midfield to the top step of the podium. And so it was solidified, Purple Helmet Hamilton as a mythical F1 driver. Now, lastly on the list, we have an unconventional take, because usually, mythical F1 drivers come from something great. They come from you pushing hard like Verstappen. They come from you being super fast like Valtteri Bottas. But this mythical driver only comes out after a bad Saturday. This driver is the driver that always wins driver of the day because their overtakes take them far from where they started. Their driver of the day status and their popularity with fans makes them a household name. Sure, their qualifying can be bad sometimes, but their recovery is always a sight to behold, and one F1 fans really do like, especially on the boring weekends that Verstappen has run away with it. And so I present to you driver of the day Checo. Now, this isn't regular Checo. This is driver of the day Checo. This is the Checo that spends all of the race coming back from P15 or P14 or P17 to finish P4 or P5 or maybe even P3. This is the Checo that runs rings around his opponents, runs long on the tyres, becomes a tyre whisperer, and shows us what it truly means to overtake in F1. I think it's great that Checo understands as fans that the race is going to be boring, and so volunteers to make it more interesting sometimes by qualifying badly. Some of you may think, but Maregbe, he got knocked out in Q1 4 times last year. And that's where I say you're wrong. He didn't get knocked out in Q1 4 times last year. He volunteered as tribute to leave qualifying early because he knew Verstappen was going to win. He'd seen the telemetry. And so I present to you Porridge Botas, off-pole Leclerc, 33 Verstappen, reject Gasly, purple helmet Hamilton, and driver of the day Checo. Our mythical F1 drivers in Formula 1. One can only imagine a race in which Bottas eats his porridge in the morning. Leclerc doesn't qualify on pole. Verstappen is still hunting that first championship. Gasly has just been dropped from the Red Bull team. Hamilton has a purple helmet and Checo is starting from P12. All we know is that would probably be the greatest race of all time. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.